So today is an important day. We are going to start dynamic programming, okay? But before that, we have some unfinished business with set cover, all right? And we are going to, so set cover. So basically, you want to, you have a bunch of lists, like contact lists, and you want to send out emails in many of these, so that you cover all your friends. That makes sense? But you want to send as few emails, you know, to press the button as few times as possible. You want to use as few lists as possible, right? Or let's make it a little more personal. Imagine that somebody has lists of you folks, okay? All right? And they look like that. And you're sitting here. Okay, imagine that these lists are the rows of this auditorium. So you are the elements of the set, you are the elements of the universe, and there are these lists. All right, let's say K of them. And they cover you all right, except that there are these other lists. That could also be used, but there are so many of them, okay? You see what I'm saying? I mean, so the point is that this is the optimum, but the picture is so fuzzy you can't see it, right? That's the idea. And if you try to be greedy, first you'll grab this set. But that's wrong, okay? It's the wrong thing to do, but you'll do it. Everybody understands what I'm saying? Then maybe you'll grab this set. You'll be on the wrong track. Your grid will put you on the wrong track. What we are going to prove is that still you'll do something good, okay? Still, the greedy algorithm does not find the optimum, we know that, but will find a good solution. There is no known algorithm that finds the optimum in polynomial time, of course. Of course, you can try all possibilities. And the reason is that this problem is NP-complete, all right? You'll be hearing this phrase more and more often in the rest of the course until it becomes our subject, okay? That's our last subject, essentially, NP-completeness. Cool. So what we want to do now is we want to prove that the stupid greedy algorithm that looks at the bigger set and puts it in. So what's greedy? Greedy says the greedy algorithm depicts the set that covers the most remaining elements. Okay, so it will pick the set that covers the most remaining elements, okay? And as we said, in the example with amphitheater, with the auditorium, where one nice solution is the rows, but then there are these other stupid sets that prevent you from seeing it, the greedy will not find the optimum, which is K, but it will do fine. All right, let's see how fine. All right? So, here is a fact. The greedy always picks at least 1 over k of the remaining elements. Okay, so greedy has started in the first step. So let's see, step 1. After step 1, so since the greedy always picks at least 1k of the elements, we'll prove why. After step 1, how many elements remain? Fewer than 1 minus 1 over k times n. And we had initially n. We threw out 1 over k of them. So this is how much remains. Is everybody following? Questions? After step 1. But why? Why is it that the greedy always picks at least 1 over k of the remaining elements? Remember, the greedy will always pick the set that covers the most elements right now, okay? The most remaining elements. Now let's remember the following important fact, that there is a solution that has k, that uses k sets. This solution right now covers the remaining elements. So there is at least one set that covers at least 1k of the elements. Which one? The largest currently set from among the optimum solution. So the greedy will pick something which is even bigger. But the bottom line is that the greedy always picks at least 1 over k of the elements. Everybody sees that? What is k? K is the minimum number of sets with which you can cover. Is everybody following this? All right? So we have an optimum. We don't know it. Usually, when we argue about approximate algorithms, we have, about algorithms in general, we have to somehow visualize the solution, always remembering that we don't know it, okay? So there is an optimum. There is an optimum set cover. It has k elements, all right? So my claim is that at every step, the greedy picks at least 1 over k of the remaining elements. 1 over k percentage-wise. And the reason is that the solution, whatever it is, has k sets. It does cover the original set. It does cover the remaining elements. One of these k sets must cover at least 1k of the elements. All right? Therefore, the greedy will do even better. So as a bottom line, the greedy will get at least 1k of the remaining elements. And now we have some work to do. After step 2, how many will survive? 1 minus k, 1 over k squared, right? Times n. Get it? After step k, how many? 1 minus 1 over k to the k. All right. That's already bad news, okay? You see what I'm saying? That we did as many steps as the optimum would have done, and we may have lots of elements. Right? This is a lot. The question is, anybody knows how small is this? What is this? This is a number. What number is it? It's 37%. Do you know that? That if you lose 1% of your money every year, every day, in 100 days you are going to have how much money? 37%. What's 37%? 1 over E. Okay? That's 1 over E, which is the same as 37%, and God knows it's less than half. Right? So here's the bottom line. We have gone through all these k steps of the greedy algorithm. we are frustrated, we have reached k, the k step, and we are frustrated that we still have things, okay? So we are not optimum. But at least we have the following to show, that we have halved the elements we have to cover, right? Okay, now the question is, here's my question to you. How many times do I have to repeat these k steps in order to be done? Remember, after k steps, I have half. How long do I have to go in order for me to run out of elements? Log n. Right? You get it? If after k steps I have half, less than half, right? After k log n steps, I have nothing. So, k log n. Actually, the true answer is k logarithm-based e of n, okay? Because of this. But forget it, log n, okay? So this means that the greedy algorithm does not give me the optimum, but gives me something decent, okay? It's at most log n times the optimum, okay? So that's our last application of greedy, so that we can plunge into our next glorious subject, which is, as I said, dynamic programming. Okay, dynamic programming. Okay, so I want to tell you a few things about dynamic programming. It's sort of a change of gear in the course. Okay, it's a different, basically, if you wish, this course is divided into two parts: before dynamic programming and after dynamic. So we are really starting the second half of the course in earnest. What is different? Okay, so far we have been showing you techniques and algorithms for solving problems efficiently, fast. All right. And we started with the most impressive and most amazingly fast and probably by far the least prevalent. What's going on here? Okay. Have I told you the story of my first cell phone? So I got my first cell phone after you did, okay? Way after you did. I had my first cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone until 10 years ago, okay? So and then somebody invited me to Greece. They were starting a new university, a new small university, and they wanted me to speak at the big fanfare, so the inauguration of the university. Okay, so they flew me first class to Greece. They put me up in the biggest hotel, and so on. And because this company also owned the cell phone company in Greece, they gave me my first cell phone. So I said, oh wow, that's cool. So I started using it. So I exchanged it with my friends. So we started talking to people. And then the big thing came, and I was in a big room, bigger than this. Everybody was there. So like half the government of Greece was there. Not that I cared to see them, but the Archbishop was there. So everybody was there. And then my phone rings. Okay. 10 minutes into the talk. And the reason is, you realize, I was a new cell phone user. I did not have the reflexes that everybody has, okay? Before, class or something, so I turned it off, okay? I think I handled it very well. So I took it out, and I looked at the first row. I gave it to somebody. I said, tell them I'm busy, so everybody laughed, except this guy was an idiot, and he kept, for the next 15 minutes, he was shouting the phone, I'm telling you, he's busy. He's True story, folks. Yes. All right. Cool. So far, we have been telling you about techniques to solve problems. Okay. The divide and conquer is the most amazing technique, except it never applies. Okay, so it really requires extremely. You noticed that we gave you like three. There are 3 exercises in the book that use divide and conquer. Okay, why? Because there are no more examples. Okay. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's it. So it's very, very rarely used. But when it works, when it's applicable, it really works. It really demolishes the problem. Okay. So that's divide and conquer. Then we started to talk about graph search and how do you explore a graph? How do you find shortest path? We talked about graph algorithms, right? And then we noticed that there is a general technique which works, again, rarely, but when it works, it's good to know it and recognize when it does, and that's the greedy algorithm, all right? And in some sense, we have hit rock bottom, okay? There are very few ideas that work, okay? So it's, these are sort of, the specialized ideas that we could think and teach you, because why are you teaching algorithms, all right? The hope is that at some point, you'll be thinking hard about writing code about something that is very crucial for your company, for the future of the world, for something, okay, right? I mean, and a little neuron will hit you, okay? Wait a minute, this is greedy, or this is very much like shortest path, Dijkstra, all right? So and that's happened, okay? So these algorithms come up a lot, or I can do it by depth first search. But the sad fact is that these are very precision tools, okay? They work for the job that they're made for, okay? And they don't work in general. Now, this and the next subject, dynamic programming and linear programming, okay? They're not relatives, they're just synonymity, okay? So dynamic programming and linear programming, they are very general tools, okay? As I said, up to now, we have been teaching you the precision instruments of the field. Now we're going to give you 2 sledgehammers, all right? That work for a very, very general, all right? And they give you good algorithms, all right? Okay? And these sledgehammers, you can wield them by yourself, okay? So you don't need to know, they're general techniques, and we are going to tell you how to use them, okay? So, and the only way to tell you is through a lot of examples, okay? So, so I'm starting with dynamic programming. All right, so I'm going to start slow. Imagine, let's revisit a problem we solved the most times. Finding shortest paths in a DAG, okay? This is one of the simplest problems we solved, okay? It can be solved in many, many ways. All right, you want to find the shortest paths, let's say from S in a DAG. How do we do it? Okay, so I'm going to write the code for it. you set the distance of S to 0, and then you do the following. For each vertex, V in linearized order, hey, let's remember, this is a DAG, right? So it can be linearized. Everybody remembers that? It can be put on the straight line so that every edge goes from left to right. That's what linearization means. And you can do this by depth first search. So since depth first search is the world's speediest algorithm, we don't even mention it, okay? It's already linearized. Do the following. Dist of E is the mean overall U predecessor of E of dist of E plus the length of UV. All right, so that's so what I have written here is the distance of V is the minimum over all predecessors of V, okay, of this formula. Okay? Everybody, is everybody surprised by this? Okay, that's another way of, that's how we find, yeah. Yes. Anybody is surprised about something else? Sorry? It's Dijkstra? Not quite. I mean, it's Bellman-Ford specialized to DAGs. In any event, everybody wants to argue with me that this solves the shortest path problem for DAGs? It does, right? Everybody's convinced? Stands to reason. It doesn't work for graphs, but it works for DAGs. Why? Because DAGs can be linearized, all right? Okay, this is dynamic programming. Look at it well, because this is dynamic programming. There is nothing more to dynamic programming, okay? Dynamic programming is supposed to be one of the scariest subjects in this class, okay? And I implore you, believe me, that's all there is to it, okay? Look at it the right way from day one, and you are going to be smiling every time I tell you dynamic programming. Okay? That's what dynamic programming is. Because don't be fooled. This algorithm, this humble algorithm, which only finds stupid shortest paths in stupid DAGs, okay, is an extremely versatile algorithm. Is extremely robust and versatile. Okay? Here's what I mean. Suppose that you don't want to find the minimum extremely versatile. Suppose I don't want to find the shortest path, I want to find the longest path. No problem. I just mean become max. Right? Same thing. Suppose I don't want to find the path that has the smallest or largest sum of lengths. I want to find the smallest or largest product of lengths. No problem. Plus becomes times. Do that make sense? So what I'm saying is that you can do anything I want here. Just all I have to do is take this formula and replace it by anything I want. Literally anything I want. Okay? So, instead of doing these little changes, let's do something really completely radical, okay? Take this box up there and replace it by any function of u1, etc., uk, and the data, where u1, uk are the predecessors of v. So write any method you want, okay? Write any code you want. Put here any code you want, just as long as it only looks up the predecessor nodes and their data and the data of this node. Do I make sense? Am I right? Probably it's going to be a function of dist, of u1, etc., but also other stuff, okay? Anything that is available to me in my input. The lengths, anything. So all I'm saying is this, that this humble algorithm can solve a host of problems. And when it solves a host of problems, it's called dynamic programming. That's what dynamic programming is. So every time we want to solve a problem, one of the things we are asking is, can we map it to a DAG and solve it? Is it really a DAG? The DAG here was explicit, okay? It was given to us. Usually, it's going to be implicit. We are going to construct it in our mind, okay? Any questions? Pred of V is, are the predecessors of V. Any node that has an edge going to V. Okay. Yeah. Ancestors means everybody, you know, ancestor means and their predecessors, okay? So by this I mean, by predecessors I mean anybody who has an edge into V, not a path into V, okay? An edge into V. So that's it, okay? Except, you'll see, sometimes, always in dynamic programming, the DAG will have to think, okay? We have to, so the only difficulty in dynamic programming is to be imaginative and realize what the DAG is, okay? And we are going to see so many examples that I'm sure that by the end of the next 2 lectures, you'll have no problem recognizing dynamic programming when you see one. So let's solve a problem. Suppose that I give you numbers. A sequence of numbers. And I want to find me the longest increasing subsequence. You understand what it means, the longest increase subsequence? Give me one increase in subsequence. Five, 8, 9. 5, 8, 9 is an increase in subsequence. Okay, everybody gets it? But it's not long enough. I want a longer one. What is the longest increase in subsequence here? Maybe, I don't know. 2, 3, 6, 9? Yeah, that's long enough. Okay? 5, 6, 6, 9. Okay, yeah. I forget what the rules are. Does 6, 6, let's say 6, 6 is not increasing, okay? It has to be strictly increasing. All right. So my question is, can you see this as a dynamic program, as a path problem in a DAG? And if so, what is the DAG? In this one, the DAG will be easy to construct. So the first question is, what is the DAG? Or if you wish, what is the equation? Okay, there are two things. One is finding this DAG. The other is finding this equation, the update, okay? Both of them work. Both of them give us dynamic programming because the DAG follows from the equation. And once you have, and also once you have the DAG, you can find the equation, all right? So in any event, what is the DAG here? Anybody can tell me? What are the nodes of the DAG, first of all? These are the nodes of the DAG, right? Exactly. Excellent. Good. So this, everybody heard? Lower numbers point to higher numbers. That's the DAG. So I never promise you it's going to be pretty, but it's going to. Yeah. That's it. Now we have the DAG. And now all we have to do is write the equation. Okay? What's the algorithm? That's the algorithm. Okay? Forget even this. Let's give it a different name. The length of the longest subsequence ending in V is equal to the minimum over all U that are predecessors of B of length of U plus 1. That's it, nothing more. That's the algorithm. Done. Max, yes, yes, yes. Let's run it. You see my problem. Humbled by Blackboard. Okay, so that's so let's run it. You remember the algorithm. So we start here in linearized order, right? So we start here. The question is, what is the maximum of this node over all its predecessors? It has no predecessors, so what's the maximum over its predecessors? 0. So you get 0 here. All right, that was easy beginning. How about this guy? What does he get? 0, excellent. How about this guy? What does he get? 1. Right? Why 1? Because its predecessor is 2 and 5. They both have 0, so the maximum is 0. Plus 1, remember, that's what the algorithm tells us to do, is 1. How about 6? What does it get? 1. Because its only predecessors are 2 and 0 again, like 8, and therefore it gets 1. How about 3? 1. Excellent. Why? Because its only predecessor is 2. How about 6? 2, I think. 2 or 3? 2. Right? How about 9? So, what's the answer? So now you have to find the largest number that has appeared and add 1 to it, okay? Because we start with 0, right? So everybody. So here is an easy way to solve a problem which is sort of non-trivial by reducing it to finding a longest path, as it turns out, into a DAG. Yeah. It's a problem, yeah. So if you are bothered by it, I'll assign it as an exercise. You can do it. You can make it run in n log n. Okay, so but the simple thing the one I want to show you first, is n, is n squared. Good point. You see what he said? If these numbers were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, then all possible edges would be present, and that's n squared of them. Right? So the first stage, which is construct the DAG, would take n squared time. Questions? Okay. So now we're going to do a really serious problem. It's a problem that burns an incredible number of cycles, okay? So a lot of these problems that we're going to talk about are problems that are at the tight loop of many, many applications. This one is about in biology, all right, in computational biology. It's about alignment, sequence alignment. Or edit distance. How many of you have heard both of these phrases before? One of them? Okay. So what is edit distance? All right, let's start with that. Edit distance is this, okay? You have two words, all right? You want to know, you have it already typed this one and you want to get this one. How many edits do you have to do? What is an edit? An edit is insert, delete, overwrite. Right? Replace, overwrite, yeah. So what's the edit distance? For example, okay, Satish tells me that every time he tries to sign an SMS, a stupid phone says catfish. All right? Why is that? Because the string catfish has a small edit distance from Satish. All right? Okay, so let's don't tell him. Yeah. All right, so what do you have to do? You just, where do you want to start? You just replace this by S, and you delete this, right? And you have Satish. Edit distance is equals 2. That's the edit distance between Satish and catfish, okay? I guess the question is, what is the edit distance between Papadimitriou and patronizing? Okay, right, so that okay. So here's another one, which is the whole point here. Okay, incidentally, here is another way to look at it. It's edit distance, that's one. What is sequence alignment? This is the same as aligning Satish with catfish, okay? Here is how you align Satish and catfish. You write. You get it? You align them, and this tells you how to edit. Okay? Replace what is different, and insert or delete what is missing. Everybody understands that aligning and edit distance is the same problem? And basically what we want to say is what is the optimal alignment between two things, okay? So let me bring up another important example. Suppose that you have a string like A, C, C, T, G, etc. Another string C, A, C, G, T, G, etc. Okay? And these may look like strings, except that this is the human genome, and this is the mouse genome. All right? And basically, you want, it's very humbling, but the human genome has incredibly small edit distance from the mouse genome. Okay? It's amazing how little you have to change. So, to all right? Okay? So every time you feel good about yourself, remember this, okay? Right, okay. Okay. So, all right. So how do you find, it's very important, incidentally. I want you to look up BLAST. How many of you have heard of BLAST? BLAST is a tool for doing exactly this, for aligning genomic sequences, all right? It's blasting fast, okay? It was discovered by a computer scientist called Gene Myers, completely changed, he was at Berkeley a few years back, completely changed the way biology is done, okay? And the basic algorithm is dynamic programming, okay? How to align sequences. Because it's extremely important to align sequences in biology. I assume you know that this is a hugely important problem. One is trying to find homologs, corresponding parts in the human genome and the mouse genome, right? For example, what is the gene that encodes hemoglobin in the mouse, okay? And you will only find it by alignment. Another very important application is how do you put together genomes, okay? How do you sequence genomes? You understand what it means to sequence genomes, right? I mean, it's basically you take just a few cells from somebody, and then you give it to a machine, and out comes a printout of the genome, okay? How many billion characters? 2 billion characters, okay? 4 billion bits, 4 megabytes of information. All right, so how is this done? Basically, the way it's done is the following. It's called shotgun sequencing. I don't know if you have heard of the method, all right? What happens is that you take the chromosomes, the genome, and you break them into small pieces. The book says about 300 to 700. Now it's down to 100 or 50, okay? So, small pieces. You break them into billions of small pieces, really many billions, because you have many copies of the genome. And then you try to identify the pieces. You see, what you get is a soup of many billion little fragments like that, okay? And by sequencing, you make them into this thing. You see what I'm saying? By sequencing, you notice that these are the same as this, okay? So I put them here. So sequencing means you find things that have very little edit distance. And edit distance is possible. Why? Because there are little things that are mistakes, okay? Life makes mistakes and computers make mistakes, okay? So, so because of both of these things, I mean, it could be that a particular cell of yours has a different DNA than in another one, okay? So it's possible, all right? Very rarely, but happens. And also that a machine, you give it a G and reads a C, okay? That's also possible. So for both of these, you have to make the best possible alignment you can so that you create, and this could be a chromosome, okay, ready to ship, okay? And then you have to find 23 of those, and you are done. All right? Any questions? So here's my point, that all of these algorithms run by dynamic programming, and so I'm going to show you how it's done. All right? So let's get earnest with this example, all right? Let's take these small sequences and try to align them, all right? How do you align them? Okay? I have already given it away. We're going to use dynamic programming. What is dynamic programming? It's shortest paths on a DAG, okay? Do you see shortest paths here? Do you see a DAG? No, okay? We have to create them, okay? That's the challenge in dynamic programming. You have to create the DAG. What is the DAG here? Okay? Basically, let's look back here. What was the DAG? The DAG was easy to identify here, right? I mean, you just draw these arcs from small to large. But what is the general principle? Let's see. I'm looking at this node here, okay? What is it? It's the node of the DAG. Okay, what else is it? It is the number 6. Okay, what else is it? The right way to look at this node in dynamic programming is as a sub-problem. This is a problem. We want to solve the longest subsequence problem in a DAG. This is the problem. This is a subproblem. This is a subproblem. This is a problem. So basically, dynamic programming works on the DAGs whose vertices are not vertices, but are subproblems. So basically, dynamic programming, you must create a DAG of subproblems. Which subproblem is this? This is the subproblem of finding the longest increasing subsequence that ends in 6, in this number. This is a subproblem you want to solve. And the point is, 2 points. If you solve all subproblems, you are done, because then you have to take the max and not 1. Okay? Number 2, if you have solved the previous subproblems, you can solve this subproblem. And there is a formula. And that's all you need for dynamic programming. To have a concept of a subproblem, to arrange the subproblems in a DAG, and know that if you have solved over smaller subproblems, the subproblems that are to the left of this problem in the DAG, then you can solve this subproblem. That's what dynamic programming is about. Okay, so let's make it concrete. What is the subproblem in this problem that? So basically, we want to align optimally. We want to find the shortest edit distance. Anybody has an idea what will be the shortest edit distance of these? What's the shortest edit distance here? 3, 2, 4, what is it? It's 2, yeah, okay. So, but I mean, but it's, I convinced you it's non-trivial, I think. So let's try to do it. What is a subproblem here? Anybody has an idea? There it was the longest increasing subsequence that ends up in 6, okay? What is the subproblem of the problem find the best alignment, the optimum edit distance between these two strings? What is the subproblem? No, I'm not telling you what's the solution. I'm not asking you what's the solution. I'm asking you what is the problem. What is a subproblem? What is a way of saying I'm making progress, okay? I'm solving larger and larger and larger and larger subproblems, and then in the end I'm going to have solved the whole problem, okay? That's what I'm asking. Like here, we are solving larger and larger and larger and larger subproblems, and in the end we have solved the whole problem, okay? What is a subproblem here? Yeah? Of substrings, excellent, okay? So basically I identify some substrings and find the edit distance. All possible substrings, any other idea? Yeah? Prefixes, okay? Everybody knows what a prefix is? A prefix is a substring starting in the beginning, right? Okay, so basically, that's a subproblem. Right? That's a subproblem. I have found the best way to align this guy with this guy. And I'm making progress, okay? If I have solved all subproblems that are smaller, then I can solve this. What does smaller mean? It means that this is smaller than this and this is smaller than this. Right? Prefix of this and prefix of this. Any questions? Yeah.
So if the last G was, for example, A or something, then you can't really have a subproblem because it might affect what happens later, or what happens later can affect what happens earlier.
It does. But the point is that if you have solved, okay, I hope that I'm going to convince you by the end of this lecture, all right? If you have solved the subproblems correctly, can somebody close this door, please? Thank you. If you have solved the subproblems correctly, then you can advance one more. Okay? You have found, of course, your decisions affect what happens next. But if you have made the optimal decisions, what happens next will be optimum.
Right, but sometimes there are multiple answers and they're equally valid. You don't know which one you choose until you see what happens later, right? There's different edit distance. An edit distance of 2 doesn't mean there's only one way to get the edits, right?
Exactly. So what I'm saying is we are going to keep all these subproblems. We are going to store them. Okay? We are going to store a square matrix of subproblems, a two-dimensional array of subproblems. Okay? And from these, we are going to recover the optimal solution. Okay? Better? So let's do it. So here it is. So I'm starting from very humble beginnings. The empty string, right? The empty prefix. Okay? So basically, I'm going to have an array, a two-dimensional array of numbers here that tell me what is the edit distance between what will be this number here. Here I'm going to store the edit distance between ACC and CACG. Everybody understands what I'm talking about? So I'm going to have an edit distance. So basically, it's going to be edit distance of ij. This is I, this is j. Starts from 0 and goes up to m. Starts from 0 and goes up to n. All right? I'm aligning two strings, one of length m, the other of length n. All right? So, all I have to do now is write a formula. Oh no, sorry. First things first, I have to initialize. So, I look at this and I say, what do I know? Do I know anything? Okay? Do I know any of these numbers? Do I know this number, this number, this number, this number? No. Do I know this number? What is it? Excellent. Do I know this number? 1 or? What is the distance between the empty string and ACC? Insert 3 things, right? So I know these numbers. Okay? I'm initializing. And now I have to write my equation, okay? That says, if I have solved, I'm here, right? And I know that I have solved all smaller subproblems. What does it mean, all smaller subproblems? All subproblems that are essentially in this square up here, right? What does this give me? Right? How can I? So what is the edit distance of ij? In other words, I have solved all smaller subproblems, right? It's going to be the minimum of a few things. Of what things? Turns out it's 3 things. Listen, the question is what I do at ij, okay? Do I delete from I? Do I delete the ith letter of this string? Do I delete the ith letter of this string? Okay? Or do I overwrite this letter as that, okay? So I have 3 options. Nothing else can happen. And I say it's the minimum of 3 things. One is the edit distance of I minus 1 j plus 1. The second one is the edit distance of I j minus 1 plus 1. And the third one is the edit distance of I minus 1 j minus 1 plus diff of xi yj. And that's it. That's the formula. Here's what I'm saying. To compute the edit distance between the prefixes I and j of these 2 strings, all I have to do is, first of all, compute the edit distance of all previous prefixes. And then I'm sit and think, what am I going to, what edit operation am I going to do at the position ij when I compare I and j? In the last step of this alignment. Two ideas. Either this happens, what is this? This means that in order to do this, I had to delete g. Okay? So I look 1 up, I minus 1j, I look here. Here is ij, here is I minus 1j. Or maybe I have to delete c, in which case I have to look here. there's a third. Maybe what happens is I overwrite G by C, in which case it is I look at I minus 1, J minus 1. And these are the only three places I have to look at. Because I know that all previous eddy distances have been computed fine. Does that make sense? When I say I look at, I mean that the DAG goes this way or the other way. The other way. So basically, my DAG is going to be this. It's going to be a huge DAG, which has n plus 1 times n plus 1 nodes, and has all grid nodes, all grid edges, going down and left to right, and all diagonal square edges, okay? Going southeast. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. Okay? Yeah. So xi is this guy. This is, let's call it string x. This is string y. Xi is g. So this equation says that if the ith letter of x is different from the jth letter of y, then I have to add 1. Okay? That's what this means. Do that make sense? That's what diff means, okay? Thanks. That's what diff means. It means that if it's different, it's 1. If it's the same, it's 0. If it's the same, I match. I don't overwrite. Any questions? So let's solve this problem. So what do I write here? Either 2 or 1. 1. What do I write here? Either 3 or 2 or 1. They match, right? Don't they? Don't they match? How about here? How about here? How about here? Excellent. What do I write here? Y1. A matches A, so this goes down here. What do I write here? What do I write here? How about here? How about here? What do I write here? Here? 1. Here? 3 or 2? How about here? Four. They match? Excellent. Here, 4, because of this, right? Here I write 3. Here I write 3, here I write 2, here I write 3. And here it's what? 5, here it's 4, here it's 4. Here it is, and here it is. Okay? How do I go back? Let's see. I go back to what gave me, right? Here I had to choose between 4, 4, and 2. Of course I chose 2. Here I had to choose between 4, 4, and 2. Of course I chose 2. Here I had to choose between 3, 3, and 2. Of course I chose this, right? Here I had to choose between 3, 3, and 1. Okay, I went here, I went here, and I went here. And this is the story, this tells exactly the story of how to transform this string into this string. It says, insert here, what? What do I insert here? A C. And then overwrite a C, sorry, a G over a C. And then everything else matches. Any questions? Yeah. Here? Where? What do you mean, here? I couldn't, right? No, because that's not what gives me. So here I have to think, what were my choices? My choices were either 2 or 3 or 1. So I have to go to the best choice. Often you have ties, in which case you can go both ways, right? So this can happen. But the point is that you always have a path that tells you the best thing. And there could be many. There could be many optimal, many best ways. Here is a cute observation, okay? Dynamic programming is extremely versatile. For example, okay? Why does diff have to be only 0 and 1, okay? It can be anything, right? For example, suppose that we know, I forget what it is, we know things like that, that it's easier for C to get into a T than C to get into a G than it is for C to get to an A, okay? Then we can make diff the distance between two things, okay? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, hey, you have a question?
So isn't that like n squared time?
Yes, yes.
Intractable,
Okay, excellent question, yes. So this is quadratic algorithm, and as your colleague is saying, it's not practical, okay? Because if you have, what is 2 billion times 2 billion, okay? It breaks the bank, okay? So that's why this is not called dynamic programming, but it's called BLAST, okay? It does heuristics. It's full of beautiful heuristics so basically BLAST would, imagine that this is a huge string, okay? Would disregard the vast swaths of things. Say, I'm not interested in this, okay? I'm already 4, forget it, okay? And would sort of, would narrow down to a small strip, all right? And only fill this one, so it's going to be linear. And then it does other heuristic. It says, let me hash all strings of length 8, okay? And remember those, sort of, and try to find them on the string. He does things like that.
by itself, then
So by itself, dynamic programming, by itself, dynamic programming is the basic idea. And then, I mean, I told you it's a sledgehammer, okay? So, you sweat to wield the sledgehammer, right? Okay, it's very, very difficult. But the point is that then that's the basic algorithm, and then you can start hacking. Okay? And that's how BLAST was born. Okay? So I told you to look up BLAST, okay? There is another algorithm I want you to look up, and maybe play with it, okay? So, there is another algorithm I want you to look up. That's a connection to Hoffman encoding, all right? Anybody knows about Lempel-Ziv? Yeah, okay, so look up Lempel-Ziv. Look up, actually, Lempel-Ziv animation. Okay, what is Lempel-Ziv? There are two mathematicians who came up with this algorithm, okay? Lempel and Ziv, okay? But what is Lempel-Ziv? Right? It's an algorithm. What does it do? It does Hoffman encoding, only does it better, okay? Why does it do it better? Because it does not have a code, a leaf in the tree for every letter. It has a code, a leaf in the tree for every interesting string. Okay, so if you run Lempel-Ziv on the English language, it will learn. So it's a learning algorithm. It's a very basic learning algorithm. It will realize that it is to advantage to have a leaf in the tree whose string is blank, T-H-E-E blank, okay? Because this apparently happens a lot in English, okay? So it would get this and give it a name, okay? Give it a particular place in a particular bit string, okay? And instead of explaining to you how it works, why don't you Google Lempel-Ziv animation, okay? I mean, all lossless compression schemes that we have, like zip, okay, and the others, they use variants of Lempel-Ziv. Okay, so it creates a huge dictionary of all interesting strings, okay? And then, of course, there are hacks. How do you cut down this dictionary because not everything should be remembered, okay? Okay. Any questions? All right. So here is the next problem we're going to attack by dynamic programming. And I'm just going to define the problem. And then so here are the data. Knapsack capacity. This is called the knapsack problem. Equals 10. Item 1, 2, 3, 4. Weight, 10 kilograms, let's say. Weight and value, 6, 3, 4, 2, 30 bucks, 14 bucks, 16 bucks, 19 bucks. So what's the story? The story is the following. A burglar has broken into a house, okay? And now he has to decide which things to take, all right? And this is the weight of each item, this is the value, and can only carry, this is called the knapsack problem, okay? And there are two versions. One where there are repetitions, you can take as many as you want of this, and one where there are unique items. I mean, have you broken into a supermarket or an art gallery, okay? It's this kind of thing, all right? And so this is the question, all right? What's the answer here? So it's a difficult problem, all right, even for four items. I want you for the next 2 days to contemplate how on earth, by which method, algorithmic method, are we going to solve this problem, all right? Okay, so see you Thursday.